Superman. Good evening, folks. Thrash Pondo here, and I'm allowing for extra time because, as you folks certainly remember, I was plagued by technical problems last Sunday's live chat, and today on Tug's channel, I was kind of all over the place. Not all of those were technical problems. One of the problems was I'm an idiot. I thought that for some reason I had it stuck in my head. The show was at 1:30, even though we've gone on at 1 since time immemorial. I don't know. For some reason, I thought this week we were doing it at 1:30. Anyway, no excuse. Well, as they say, excuses are like a certain body part, but I won't get into that. Definitely not. But anyway, oh, Lance is here. Lance is the first one, and he says, "Hey, Thrash, Mr. Chafin, so great to see you. Welcome to the party, even though at the moment it's just you and I. And thank you for checking on me earlier today, by the way. I appreciate the check. My Fluck is everywhere is here and says hi, Pawns, and hi to you too, Sister Sarah. So great to see you. Again, I'm hoping those wildfires stay away from you, Miss. I'm wishing all the luck in the world. We are going to be praying on it. And Gary Carpenter's here and says, "Hi there, I'm Buck, and we love having you back with us." Mr. Led is here. Mr. Led says, "Hi, Bob. How do you, Mr. Led, Mrs. Led, and all the little depleted uraniums?" Chance is here from the nostalgic Pod Blast. Chance, so good. He says, Thrash, hey, Thrash Pondapons, and I say hey to you. So great to see you. Oh, he also says hi to all in the chat. JRA is here. JRA, draw. Win, lose, or draw. That's all, folks. Is there trivia night? Yes, there is, and it's going to be basically Michigats, miscellaneous Michigats. It's going to be, well, mostly TV and movies, but it's not any particular theme. Denny Snow. Where the hell did that come from? Denny Staten is here and says greetings from South Carolina and greetings to you as well. Dan, the breaking news man, is also here. I got a pair of Dans, and he says, "Guess who? No clues." Well, I'm gonna guess Doctor Who. That's my made up band name, Doctor Who and the Watts. It was either that or Captain Kirk and the Red Shirts. And a lot of people saying hello to one another. John Collins is here. I lost my earmuffs. You need them in this state now. It's very, very, very cold. John Collins is here and he says, "Hi, Bob. And a hello to you too. So good to see you." BK on the air is here. And BK says, "Hey, Thrash and everyone. Barry, it is so awesome to see you as always." JRA says, "Guess who? Burton Cummings." And, okay. I would have gone with Richard Burton. But to own their each my flock has given us links. Please do give a link for yourself too, Sarah. More than appreciated. Love having you with us. And I'm at the moment I'm still caught up. We're gonna have to keep our fingers crossing today, folks. There's some nasty thunderstorms coming through Cape Cod at the moment, but at the moment all is well. And BK says Deadpool and Wolverine is something I can't tell because the heart icon is over it, but over the top fun. I'm guessing that's an overall positive. I never get to the movies anymore. I never, and when I do get to the movies, it's usually to see a re-release of some very, very, very old film. Last film I saw in the theaters was a sort of a retro showing of King Ghidorah. Crazy over the top fun. There you go. Crazy. All the entertainment headquarters is here. Oh my God, Kevin, so good to see you. It says, "Hello, Thrash Bondo. Nice to see you. Been a while." I know. I'm so sorry. Summers are crazy for me. It was so funny. I was just seeing some of your posts on Facebook. Oh, and by the way, Sarah, please give the entertainment headquarters a link. Kevin, I know we have to do another collaboration. I promised Lance at the Outcast Creative the same thing. Do you still want to go ahead and do the best, or at least the most notoriously slick, made for TV horror sci-fi movies? Anyway, get back to me later. I would love to do that with you, and of course, Mr. Anubis. Indy is with us. Says Thunderbolt Lightning, very, very, very frightening. I got a knock on wood. Danny says, have there been any in memoriam this week? Mr. Farquhar, I'm gonna get the name wrong. Farquhar, the last singer of the Four Tops passed on. Gary Cameron says Beetlejuice movie is out. Oh, excellent, excellent. Thank you for the link. Sister Sarah, Gary is saying hello to Indian Dan and pretty much everyone else. JRA says there was a bad storm near Nantucket when it came on shore. There was a bad storm in Nantucket when it came on shore. There's a song in there somewhere. My flex says already did. Thank you so much. John Doe is here and says it's showtime. Excellent. And Zublex is here and says, good evening, Gary. Zublex, good evening to you too. Kevin says, I did a review of Deadpool and Wolverine on my channel. I've got to see it. Pardon me. My flex says, I've been trying two puns for years now. I know. It was so funny. Remember that there was that one Sunday night where you guys were live, and I said next time, and then there's never been a next time. Sister Sarah, I promise I'll get on one of your live shows as well. By the way, give me a little heads up next time you're gonna go live. I usually when I see your posts, it's already too late. Kevin says I would love to collaborate again on my top 10 segment. Love it. I absolutely love it. John Collins says, Bob, you are aware of the death of Bob Newhart, are you not? I am. I was absolutely devastated, by the way. Even though the man was in his 90s, he was still a heavy casualty. Tracy's here and says, hi, Robert, and all. And hello to you as well. Emily's here and says, hey, y'all, with her world famous Purple Heart. A lot of people saying hello to everyone. Harold the Hatter is here. Oh my God, Harold says, hey, Thrash Bondo Ponce, and I hate to you as well. My Flock's giving us more links. Thank you for the links. John Doe says, what movie was better, Shin Godzilla or Godzilla Minus One? I haven't seen Godzilla Minus One, unfortunately, so I cannot speak to that. I've heard it was amazing. I heard it was excellent. Tracy's saying hello to everyone. Jerry says they gave Bud Newhart 4 network shows in 30 years. 4? I know the Bob Newhart show and just Newhart, but I know he did guests on many shows. Indy says John Doe Godzilla Minus One. Without having seen it, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the best. My flex says I'll be in touch. Please do, because remember, I remember you even suggested that Chance and Chrissy and I we could all get together and do something, and that would actually, well, whatever you suggest. It's been so long. I will commit. And Danny, of course, I have to do something with Danny soon. I'm still having technical problems, as you guys know. Gary says better you than me. The Sister Sarah says hello to everyone that I've missed. Hopefully I haven't missed anyone, but hello to everyone just in case I missed you personally. Tracy says COVID still blah 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 LOL. There's a song in there somewhere. Gary says to Jerry, I found some of his old videos online. Oh, excellent. And Kevin says, here is an idea. We could do my top 10 50s sci-fi films. I could do that for days. And Emily says, didn't he have a show called Bob? Yes. I completely forgot he did. Yes, he had a show called Bob. And Jerry says Bob in 97 and also George and Leah with Judd Hirsch. I'm not familiar with that one, but I do remember Bob now that you mention it, but I'm not familiar with Judd Hirsch, but thank you. And Gary Cameron says, I found some of his old stuff, old videos online. And John Doe says, they say Godzilla Minus One was top 3 movies in the history of filmmaking. Wow, that's a high praise indeed. And my flex says, Giggle Pawns I'll make it happen. Excellent, excellent. And Dan says Bob Newhart was good in the movie Elf. Yes. And Gary Carpenter says Bob Newhart video. All those are the videos that you found. He started as a stand-up comedian, and if you can find some of his old stand-up comedy, it's just amazing. Kevin says -1 is very better than Shin. A great emotional story, amazing special effects, and a great cast. Denny says, I'm listening. Yes, Denny, I promise you, someday we will actually do our collaboration. I promise you. Harold saying hello to everyone. Zubik says hello to Harold. Gary Carpenter says message retracted and a message retracted to you too. My vlog is giving us more links. And let's just see. Gary Carpenter says, yes, he did, but it didn't last long. I know, I think it lasted a season maybe, but I did forget about it. And Kevin says, I just watched the original Invaders from Mars, the one from the 1950s. Great movie, great movie. And Indy Spout says to John Doe, they are wrong. It's not. All right, so maybe it's up in the top three. That's a little high. And JRA says B. Arthur had 3 shows in 20 years, I believe. Yeah, she certainly did. She certainly did. And Emily Miller says, which sucks, Gary, because Newhart was a funny guy, certainly was. And John says, Bob, I'm using as a mouthpiece to ask the chat, or perhaps is there an audio version of Michael Jackson autobiography, Moonwalk? Not to my knowledge. Indy would be the best person to probably know that. Not to my knowledge. But Indy, is there? And Gary says to JRA, yes, she did. And Emily says, a good question. And Len says, why is Sarah hiding from the chat? I have moved. Not sure she was. And Gary Carpenter says, he used to be an accountant. I had heard that. I thought, I was never sure if that was true or just part of his backstory. But I mean, I certainly believe it. He certainly looks like an accountant. Oh, look who's here. Angela McCurdle is here. It says, hey, everyone hanging out on the side of the road waiting for someone to bring my gasoline. Are you going to be putting out fires with the gasoline? I'm Angela. I'm so sorry that you ran out of gas. Hope they get to you soon. I will try to keep you as entertained as possible while you wait. Mr. Lynn says, after he was in the service, Newhart was actually an accountant. Okay, so that's official. Gary Carpenter says, T, you should try body armor drinks. They are really good. I will have to try them. Wajamin says, hello, everyone. Hello to you as well, by the way. And Angela says, on the side of the road. So sorry, my lady. Indy says, I don't know about Moonwalk, but I know that they should have written it backwards. Well played, my man. Well played. JR says, at least you don't have to wait for someone to bring you an electric charger. Ah, good point. You need a really, really, really long extension cord. John Doe says, I would have liked them to have made a sequel to The Adventures of Buckaroo Across the Eighth Dimension. Be careful because wherever you go, there you are. They were supposed to do Against the World Crime League. And there are a couple of differing stories as to what happened, but the comic books lasted for years. Emily says, Angela, is somebody actually coming, or do you need someone? That's a good question. Hopefully, someone, in fact, is already coming. Hope you have AAA. And Angela says, nope, I have someone coming to help. Excellent. Brogo's here, says hello. Sarah's giving another link. Thank you. Kevin says, Thrash, do you have a favorite fantasy film? A favorite fantasy film? Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because a lot of times fantasy crosses over with sci-fi. Like, for example, my favorite fantasy film would probably be Wizards, but a lot of people consider that sci-fi or post-apocalyptic. But probably solid just fantasy. I would have to go with Excalibur. Emily says, okay, Angela, just making sure. That was very sweet of you, Em. Mr. Wilkinson's here and says, good evening, Bob. And Tom McCluskey, speaking of wizards, Tom McCluskey is here and he says, hello, Tom. And that's something else I have a backlog of projects that I really should like actually get to one of these days, and one of them is my withered my withered you catch my withered spell on my wizards a retrospect. And he says, I'm guessing Thrash is going with Wizards. That was uncanny. That was uncanny. But for the reasons I mentioned, Wizards is crossover. It's sci-fi fantasy. So I would, for pure fantasy, I would have to go with Excalibur. And let's just see. A lot of people having fellowship with one another. Jerry says, I have a favorite fantasy film, but Cinemax hasn't shown it since the late 90s. Ooh, I bet it was a naughty film. And it says, I have AAA, hate using it. It's a pain. And you have to go through the app now. You can't just call a person like in the old days. But it's still very, very, very helpful. John Doe says, most people don't know that Michael Jackson's moonwalk is not the moonwalk. Oh, yeah, we had a conversation about that a while ago. I can't remember the exact details. Gary says, John Doe, then what is it? Daryl Johnson here says, Bob, other brother, good to see you. Kevin says, Excalibur's a great choice. Thank you. Thank you. Zubelik says, counting down to the next please stand by moment. You're counting down. You're counting. I live between please stand by moments. And Jerry says, I always enjoyed Flight of the Navigator. That's a good choice. What was the Scottish? Was it just Navigator? That was the Scottish high fantasy time travel movie. Someone help a brother out here. And Kevin says, I love Legend with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. I like everything about Legend except Tom Cruise. Oh yeah, the stuff that the stuff that Tug was saying about Tom Cruise. Yes, I have like a Tom Cruise aversion. I must confess, I've liked some of his stuff, but by and large, nah. Let's just see what else we got going on here. Gary Gabbard says, "Be author mod." Amanda's by the Sea and the Golden Girls. Yeah, I actually liked Amanda's by the Sea. I'm surprised it didn't last, but what do I know? Emma Mills says, "Teh." I love that movie. John Collins says, as far as Mr. Newhart, was his vocal style genuine or part of his act? My understanding was that's how he talked. He may have forced it slightly for the purposes of his show, but yeah, that was basically how he spoke. So Luke says 5, 4, 3, 2. Christopher Wilkins says, "Good evening, good evening, Tom, and good evening to you too again, Mr. Wilkinson. Great to see you." Emily says, "I love me some Labyrinth." I did like Labyrinth. I thought Tim Curry was amazing. Billy Barty was in it. It was not his final film. I can't remember how many of you pointed that out to me last night. I think like 4 of you pounced on me. Apparently, he went on to do other films. But Wajimine says The Princess Bride. Wajimine, that's a very good selection. Mr. Lynn says Moonwalk was the first done in the 1940s. Oh, yeah, one of those old soundies, if I remember correctly. Angela says, didn't Roger Corman do a sci-fi fantasy film? Several. He did several. He's the one who he directed. He came out of retirement to direct Frankenstein Unbound. You can't get much more fantasy than Frankenstein Unbound. I'll just say, Gary Carpenter says, I love that one, The Dark Crystal. I loved The Dark Crystal. I tried watching the TV series, couldn't warm up to it, not sure why. My Flux says, my head hurts. I'll catch rest after. If you need to go lie down or something, miss, please do so. But it's great having you with us as long as you can. John Doe says, the walking backwards is an old tap dance move. The moonwalk is when he pops out his chest square, his shoulders, and walks kind of like a robot. I don't know if you know what I mean. Not sure, but I think I grok what you're saying. That Daryl Jones says, y'all don't forget to hit the like button. What he said. Although we have more likes and viewers at the moment. I just jumped, drat. Mr. Wilkins says, I'm so happy I found out we get Lawrence Welk in Rhode Island. Oh, excellent. Trace says, hi to all I missed. Jerry says, Tom Posen married Suzanne Plachette from the first Newhart show. Great trivia. That is a great trivia question. Emily Miller says, Labyrinth was a David Bowie movie. It certainly was. It certainly was. And Nick Mama, I always butcher your name. Mamonas is with us. It's been so long. He says, hi, everyone. Nick, so glad you're back with us. Don't know why we haven't seen you in a while, but just happy to see you. Welcome to the part A, my friend. Or should I say, welcome back. My flock has given us a number of emojis, which is very, very nice. A lot of people saying hi back to Nick. Eric Howard says, to my flock, take some aspirin. Emily says, that's why everybody tells me Wedge. And Kevin says, I love the original Willow, but it was hard to get through the Disney series. Willow was okay, but it just seemed to be like every trope in fantasy was all kind of put together. Brogu said, enjoy the rest of your stream and in the week to come. This is way by. Oh, Brogu was checking out. Brogu, thank you for stopping in. Great to see you. Have a great week, and we'll see you very, 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 very soon. Time Bandits, love Time Bandits. Denny says Lawrence Welk is the thing of nightmares. Good night, sleep tight, and pleasant dreams to you. Oh, Emily says hugs to you, Brogu. Yeah, Brogu. Thanks for stopping in. Sorry you can't stay, but it was nice having you with us. John Doe says, how was the white elephant milkshake Mondays? I love the concept. I haven't had a chance to try it, but it sounded really good. John Collins says, we have all heard of the practicing emergency broadcast system. Has anybody ever actually been in an emergency where they heard the system regarding the emergency they were actually in at the time? No. No, I have not. Gary Carpenter says, that'll do. Babe. Nick says, great seeing you, Thrash Pondo. Great having you back with us. Gary Carpenter says, the Time Machine, the original, of course. Zublick says, I have John. Lots of storms here in Puerto Rico. Oh, of course, that would work. And Jerry says the Time Machine was great with Rod Taylor, precisely. Emily's also saying bye to Brogu. Emily Miller says, not that I'm aware, John, other than maybe bad weather. Gary Gilbert says, it came from beneath the sea. Tracy says, message retracted. And Nick says, I like the new Quantum Leap. I haven't seen it. I keep meaning to. I haven't seen it. Lance says, bye, guys. See you next time. I'm out. Peace. Lance, thanks for stopping by. Great to see you, man. Gary Cameron says, Jerry, the remake wasn't too bad. People say good night to Lance. Tracy says, see you, Lance. There we go. And what you mean says, I hope you feel better soon. Tracy's fractures getting more. Kevin says the original Time Machine is a great film. It certainly is. A lot of people saying goodnight to Lance. John Doe says they should bring back Howard the Duck. One of the biggest commercial disappointments in film history. The film, for some reason, it cost over $50 million to make. I remember when it was coming out because a buddy of mine had some of the comics, and it seemed pretty slick. But yeah, I don't know, bad marketing or what, but the movie bombed and lost the studio like $50 million. Emily says, dang, is everybody sick? I know, right? I know up here the pollen count is terrible. Maybe it's allergies. And Kevin says, Thrash, I heard that Shogun has had the most Emmy Award nominations. Well deserved. Yeah, I loved Shogun. I thought it was excellent. And Indy says, picking a favorite fantasy film is hard. Monty Python and the Holy Grail is probably up there somewhere. It is definitely up there. Do you know that Mr. Jones, Terry Jones, was one of the leading experts in the world on medieval history, specifically centering on the Crusades and whatnot? And Jerry says Howard Deutsch put his wife in that movie after Back to the Future. Um, yes, name Leah Thompson. Leah Thompson. Yes, thank you. And Angela says, "I like Howard the Duck. It was corny but funny. Yeah, the comics are great. But the big problem is, and again, I think it was bad marketing. I don't. I think the company in charge of marketing it didn't do a particularly good job. But whatever reason, people didn't go to the theaters to see it, and it bombed. Zubik says the duck looked like the duck looked too human like. He needed duck looking feet. Well, but it's based on the comic book. Emily says, "Good to know, Gary." Denny has given us a link. Thank you. Oh, to Harold the Hatter, of course. And he says, "What's up, Caleb?" And Chris just says, "Good evening, Angela." And Tree says, "I'm staying up till your trivia game that I need to go to rest. I've been cleaning my app since I got back home from the hospital because I got no help with that. And I think I'm exhausted everything today. Oh, I'm sorry. Give me 2 minutes and I'll start the trivia." Nick says, "I found the Outsiders TV series on YouTube. I love the Outsiders TV series. It didn't last long, but I loved it." John Doe says, "The last Gina Davis movie where she played a pirate bankrupt the studio, and then they really shut down." Oh yes, I remember that one. I forgot what it was called, but I do remember it. Emily says, "Tracy, aren't you married?" Gary Carpenter says, "Yellow Submarine." Danny says, "I think a lot of people watching the Olympics tonight. That Bile girl is breaking records." Oh, that's probably why I'm not having a great turnout tonight. But I understand. Kevin says Dragon Slayer is another fun fantasy film. It certainly is. Zibble says, "But the comic book Howard the Duck looked like a duck." What do you want from me? And John Doe says, "Do you know any other movies that caused uh, the movie to shut down?" Not so much shut down, but certainly hurt the studio. Cleopatra bankrupted Fox. I think I'm gonna do. Angela says Battle Beyond the Stars. I guess would be sci-fi film. I know Roger Corman did direct it. I'm tired too. LOL. John Collins says, "Bob, I have an exciting announcement. I'm going to endeavor to actually produce my very first YouTube presentation soon. The content of said such will remain a mystery. Look for it soon. I can't wait. I can't wait." And Zublik says, "Heaven's Gate, John." It certainly, yes, it did. It did. That is also one of the biggest financial disasters of all time. And Tom says they took money away from Wizards to give it to Star Wars. That's why Wizards had so much rotoscope. Oh, I know. That's also how they were able to get Mark Hamill. He came by for one day to do Shaun the Wizard. And Jerry says, "I liked Heaven's Gate a lot. Not sure why it bombed. It was a bit long, but really good." Poor marketing, and they got a lot of bad press when supposedly they killed a group of horses during the filming. I don't know if that's a myth or if it actually took place, but it was bad press either way. But anyway, um, to help our sister Tracy, who kind of needs to go to bed, I'm going to start the trivia now. So please forgive me if I miss anyone's comments. But I'm going to start right now, and as always, in no particular order. Number 10, Mr. Clutterbuck, that's Andrew Lincoln to you Yanks, makes his cue card reading Profession of Love to Keira Knightley by playing this distracting tune on his vintage boombox in this signature scene from rom-com epic Love Actually. I'm going to reread that question. I think I missed a line. Andrew Lincoln masks his cue card reading Profession of Love to Keira Knightley by playing this distracting tune on his vintage boombox in this signature scene from rom-com epic Love Actually. No, I actually read that appropriately. It just went on forever. Was it A, In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel, B, Don't Fear the Reaper by BOC, C, Christmas Carolers, or D, The Surfin' Dead by the Cramps? Oh, Angela's got to go. Oh, Angela, yeah, I'm guessing AAA person just showed up with your fuel. But I shall, believe it or not, I'll try to repeat that. Andrew Lincoln masks his cue card reading profession of love to Keira Knightley by playing this distracting tune on his vintage boombox in this signature scene from rom-com epic Love Actually. Was it A, In Your Eyes, B, Don't Fear the Reaper, C, Christmas Carolers, or D, The Surfing Dead? Harold the Hatter says, who are BOC? That's Blue Oyster Cult. And they did Don't Fear the Reaper and many other tunes. They were the ones who they did Veterans of the Psychic War for heavy metal. And we're talking about heavy metal soundtrack earlier today. When they were approached, they thought they were being approached to do the entire album, like Queen did for Flash Gordon. So they wrote all these songs, and then the people of heavy metal said, no, we just want one. So they ended up taking all those other songs and making an album out of it. There's only 3 people still watching. That's not possible. I see more people than that in the comments section. This happened to me before, where the comments section got wonky. Scott says, I know Bluester Cult. I was just jesting. D. Terribly sorry, Harold. I thought maybe you knew Bluester Cult, but didn't know the abbreviation. But I don't know why I thought that. John Collins says, fly to the bumblebee like a virgin. The correct answer was, of course, C. They were Christmas carolers. And her husband says, oh, just give him a pound and tell him to get off our porch. And moving forward. Number 9. And speaking of Mr. Lincoln, this romantic interest of Deputy Sheriff Grimes is considered by all true fans of his show, The Walking Dead, to be categorically the least favorite character of the series. Is it A, his ex-wife, Lori, B, Michonne, C, Jesse, or D, Jadis, or Jade S, as I call him? Oh, Keith is here. What did you sneak in? Hi, Keith. Welcome to the party. I shall repeat. Speaking of Mr. Lincoln, this romantic interest of Deputy Sheriff Richard Grimes is considered by all true fans of the series The Walking Dead to be categorically the least favorite character in the show. Is it A, his ex-wife Lori, B, Michonne, C, Jesse, or D, Jadis? Keithy says, can't 3 people cause I'm lurking. It can't be 3 people because I'm lurking. Oh, it can't be 3 people because I'm lurking. Oh, I got you. And he says, so all of a sudden my phone switched from Pawns to some old movie, The Lost Continent. What WTF, man? I touched nothing. Hey, which Lost Continent? Was it I do a 2 for Tuesday on Lost Continent. Is it the 1968 BBC one based on the Sargasso Sea? Or what was it that one called? Something, but it's about the lost Inquisition fleet, or is it about the guys who try to find the rocket on the plateau in the South Pacific? But anyway, yeah, you guys are correct. It was Lori. Probably could have made an educated guess there, but yeah, Lori is universally hated by people who love the show and by people across the board. Anyway, moving forward, number 8. In the 1976 adaptation of King Kong, what was the organization actually looking for on Skull Island? Was it A, Godzilla, B, King Solomon Mines, C, the Confederate Last Chance Gold, or D, oil? I shall repeat. Oh, John Doe says the same guy who sang Build Me Up, Buttercup also sang Highway to Hell. That, Bon Scott, that is a great factoid. I love it. I might have to do one or both of those on a Creepy Classic now. But I shall repeat. In the 1976 adaptation of King Kong, what was the organization actually looking for on Skull Island? Was it A, Godzilla, B. King Solomon's Mine, C. The Confederate Last Chance Gold, or D. Oil? Oh, look who's here. Tug's here. Says hello, Harold. Hello, Emily, Kenneth, et al. Who's Al? Hmm. Hmm. Tug, good to see you. Good to see you. You said you'd try to make it, and I'm pinkly tickled that you did. Oh, Denny says 1968 USA lost continent. Um, are you sure that wasn't the hammer? I would wager money that the 1968 was a hammer film. It's about an ocean liner that gets stuck in the Sargasso Sea, and they're looking and there's a lost Inquisition fleet and big creepy monsters. It's a great film. I love the film. It's silly at times. Jenny, thank you for the link. And Indy says, no, Colin Young saying build me up, Buttercup. For the foundations. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Thank you, Indy. JRA says, street in a strange world. Maybe it's the third world, perhaps. By the way, the correct answer is, of course, yes, oil. They were looking for oil and they found it. It just wasn't, I guess what we called it, wasn't refinable. It wouldn't make good oil for sale for commercial use. Number 7. Denny reluctantly joins this athletic organization in the final segment of Grease. Was it A, the football team, B, the baseball team, C, the basketball team, or D, the track and field team? And I shall repeat. Denny reluctantly joins this athletic organization in the final segment of Grease. Was it A, the football team, B, the basketball team, B was the baseball team, C is the basketball team, or D, track and field? And John says that only means you can eat Buttercup while going down the highway to hell, no speed limit. I see what you did there. Kevin's going to guess. JR says final segment of the fly off in the car. Oh yeah, but it's that whole segment that takes place at the carnival. That's where the film wraps, and they have There's actually 2 songs. There's Better Shape Up, and then We Go Together. That's like yeah. So there's actually 2 songs, but it's the final portion of the film, not necessarily the final scene. I guess you call it the final act. A lot of people saying hello to one another. Emily says he got his letter sweater. Yeah, he did. He did, which is funny because he hadn't actually joined the team yet. I don't know how he got the letter sweater before he joined the team. Usually, you have to like be a starting team member for a full season before they give you that. I never got my football letter. I never got my football letter because that season I got hurt and could never play again. I had only started in 4 games, and you have to start at least half the season. Of course, my coach was. Anyway, moving on. The correct answer was, of course, track and field. And number 6, and then we'll get some scores, which shouldn't take long. There's only about 7 people watching. In Richard Chamberlain's other epic made-for-TV miniseries, The Thornbirds, Maggie's kid brother is killed by a what? A wild boar, B, a saltwater croc, C, a great white, or D, a thornbird? What did that be already? In Richard Chamberlain's other epic 80s made-for-TV miniseries, Thornbirds, Maggie's kid brother is killed by a what? Is it A, wild boar, B, a saltwater croc, C, a great white, or D, a thornbird? Indy says failing safe or falling safe. Oh, he's killed by a falling safe. Making a falling piano, it makes that very satisfying crung when it lands. Crung. Guesses are all over the place. Emily says none of those choices sound fun. Tug says I generally have no idea. Oh, Teb's here, and Teb says B, which sadly is not correct. Keith says, congratulations, more people are watching this channel than the French Olympics. Well, because they've already surrendered. Oh, pardon, mes amis. Keith says, I thought it was a dingo. No, but I wish I'd made that one of the suggestions. It was actually a wild boar. They were hunting wild. Actually, they weren't hunting wild boar. They were hunting deer, and the wild boar stumbled upon them. And my grandfather was an avid hunter. He was still alive at the time, and he explained to me like um, the whole the reason why he wasn't able to get the shot off fast enough because he was a gun expert. But anyway, all right. Anyway, the correct answer was A, and let's get some scores. Jerry says, maybe the dingo ate your baby. That is such a sad story. That is sad. She went to jail for years. It cost her marriage. She was finally exonerated when they found the baby remains in the dingo's den. And then, just to add injury to the insult of the previous insult's injury, they said, oh, well, you still killed your own baby. The dingo just got the remains. Dude, how could you know that? Cut this woman some slack. I feel so. Oh, that's such a sad story. Very sad. But I'm back. Anyway, Zerblex got 2 of 4. He must have missed one. Teb is 1 of 5. Yeah, but you got here late. Emily says, I was gonna say that, but how often does someone die in that way? Very rare. That's why it was a freak accident. Kevin says, best part of the Olympics was seeing Celine Dion's amazing comeback performance. My wife insists that I have to see it. I will at some point. Harold says 1 of 5. Tug is 3 of 4. Nick got 4 right. Kevin is 0 of 5. No worries. It's called just like hanging out and playing. We're sort of playing for sport, as it were. Jake Hudson's here. Oh my God, Jake Hudson's here. Says liked and shared. Thank you so much for the like. Thank you so much for the share. I'm assuming you've already subscribed, as I have to you. Jake, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My flock, could you please give us Mr. Hudson here a link for those of you who haven't joined? He's been putting out some quality stuff on his channel as well. I love the AI music, by the way, written on new technology, as the song goes. Um, and what was the line from Rush? All this machinery making modern music can still be open-hearted. John Doe says, I didn't say he was the original singer of Buttercup. He was in a group called the Valentines, and he sang it with them. But did he write it? Did he write it? None of that matters. I'm just curious now. And Tug says she got because funny. Sometimes the person who does the least recognized rendition of a song is the one who actually wrote it. Tug says she got a bad rap, and the whole reason we know the story is because the dingo ate my baby was a taunt meant to diminish her. I know. Oh yeah. Have you seen the movie with Sam Neill, by the way? Oh, just straight over his head. And he says, made a few, missed a few. Jake says, today is my birthday. Happy birthday. What, the big 2-9? I've been 29 for 30 years. Happy birthday. Emily is 4 or 5. Oh, excellent. Excellent. A lot of people saying happy birthday. Someone says, I doubt the dog ate her baby. Typical movie makes believe. Again, the movie is not a it's not a documentary, but I actually read an article on the story, and it's just very sad. And again, it cost her marriage, so I don't even think her husband believed her. It's just so sad. But you honestly don't think that it was the dingo? You think she killed the baby? I'm tired of talking about dead babies. We'll just leave it at that. But and moving forward, John says, I don't believe Bon Scott wrote it, but he definitely sang it. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. And again, a lot of people saying happy birthday to Mr. Jake. 31. Hey, I was actually close. I'll be 57 in August. And Zublik says, yep, I do. Fine. Fine. It's not the first time you and I have not agreed on something. And then the says, so much for Emily, please forgive our horrible, horribly insensitive tomfoolery. I I can't apologize enough. That I must confess that, well, it hadn't occurred to me, and I'm very sorry. Anyway, Indie Spot says Thrash found his new slogan. I'm tired. And here we go again. See, this is what I'm talking about. It gets maudlin, guys. Come on, guys. Awful. And Gary Gilman says, John Doe, that is an awful song. Emily says, what? No, I tell dead baby. I never know. No, that's not what I was. This is so going off the rails. Can we finish the game? Well, poor Tracy is getting over COVID, wants to go to bed, and we're being weird. And she says, Emily says, but I do though. Okay, fine. Emily, who am I to deny you anything? You know, I could never deny you anything. Fine. And Jerry says AC/DC songs aren't really elaborate compositions. No, they're really not. And he says, Emily Miller, watching Bob read things out of context is the most fun. Isn't it though? Is it? Well, because there's two ways to read things. You can read them clinically, where you just read the words off the prompter, but sometimes what you do is you try to infer the meaning behind them. And I must confess, I oftentimes can't help but doing that. So I think I'm reading things one way, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh. And John Doe says, Thrash, what is your top 3 70s and top 3 80s song and movies? That would make a great post. So you know what? I'm going to have to give it some thought and do a post on it. And Tug says, we did that in the 90s all the time. Dead baby jokes was how we one-upped each other in high school. And Emily says, see? Tug gets me. And Gary says, she's saying your trivia is boring. My trivia is boring, but I promised Tracy we'd finish it. So, number 5. In long-running Boston set comedy series Cheers, what is Sam's nickname? Is it A, Mayday Malone, B, T-Bone Malone, C, Bugsy Malone, or D, Cyclone Malone? And I shall repeat. In long-running Boston set comedy series Cheers, what was Sam's nickname? Was it A, Mayday Malone, B, T-Bone Malone, C, Bugsy Malone, or D, Cyclone Malone? Huh. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Everyone just give it to yourselves. Yes, Mayday Malone. Number 4. What Axis organization did the Nazis attempt to conscript Mr. Von Trapp into in the film The Sound of Music? Was it A, the SS, B, the Gestapo, C, the German Army, or D, the German Navy? Emily says, why was he nicknamed Mayday? I think just because Mayday, Malone, they both start with M. And also Mayday means like send help. He was a relief pitcher. The idea was if the pitcher was bombing, he would go and help the pitcher out. And again, Mayday means, Mayday, I need help. And John Doe says, if you're supposed to eat all your vegetables, then what are you supposed to, you know? I shall repeat. What Axis organization did the Nazis attempt to conscript von Trapp into in the film The Sound of Music? Was it A, the SS, B, the Gestapo, C, the German Army, or D, the German Navy? And Gary Cameron says Doomsday Machine. Ooh, if the Germans had a Doomsday Machine, we'd all be, well, dead because they would use it to destroy the entire planet. Tug says Spock. The correct answer is, and Jerry, I'll accept that. Navy captain. Yeah, he had actually been in the Navy of the Austrian Empire before it collapsed. So when Austria was reabsorbed, the Germans wanted him in the Kriegsmarine. So the correct answer is Navy. Number 3. In the 80s dark comedy Moonstruck, Nick Cage loses his hand in a tragic accident with this. A, an automobile, B, a bread slicer, C, a chainsaw, or D, the bees. The bees. I shall repeat. In 80s dark comedy Moonstruck, Nick Cage loses his hand in a tragic accident with this: A, an automobile, B, a bread slicer, C, a chainsaw, or D, the bees. The bees. Zublex, you're gross. Harold says the sea whistle heard it wrong. Oh, this, okay, gotcha. And Jerry says Austria is landlocked and they have a navy. Austria-Hungarian Empire. Yes, prior to the defeat of the Habsburg Empire in World War One, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was much, much, much bigger and had many seaports along the Adriatic. After Austria-Hungary's defeat, and Austria-Hungary was split into two separate countries, and many others were absorbed into their former territories. Austria became a landlocked country and therefore closed its naval department after World War One. When Austria was annexed by Germany, the Germans had a navy, such as it was, and wanted him to be in it. And he's about Albania, borders on the Adriatic. Anyway, the correct answer is B, bread slicer. Very tragic. Number two, the funeral of Four Weddings and a Funeral was for what relation of Hugh Grant's character? A, his older brother, B, his old friend, C, Annie's dad, or D, his own. I shall repeat. The funeral of Four Weddings and a Funeral was for what relation to Hugh Grant's character? A, his older brother, B, his old friend, C, Annie's dad, or D, his own. John Doe says, I'm getting ready to watch Indiana Jones and the Crystal of the Dark Skull. I've never seen it, but I know that it's really good, but I'm never watching that horrible Indiana Jones that recently came out. Oh, Brian is here with music, movies, and more. With Brian, he says, how are you doing, Thrash? I know it's been a while since I last checked in with you. So glad to see you. I've been doing fine. Just summers are wicked, wicked, wicked busy for me. But I am still doing well. John H is here, says B. John H, welcome to the party, although we're almost at the end. And uh yes, yes, Gareth, his friend Gareth. Gary says Z, Prussia is practically gone. It's mostly in Poland now. Emily says I never saw that movie. Nick guesses older brother. He did have an older brother in the movie, but no. And he says, boy, my heteronormative lifestyle is really coming back to haunt me for this quiz. Wow. Are you suggesting something? I must confess, I did get most of them out of a rom com quiz book that my wife gave me as a joke. I probably won't use that one again, but anyway. Number one, and then it's all over. It's almost over, folks. Uh, Courage, lads. Courage. Did you expect to live forever? I was hoping to make it through the afternoon. Which of these classic flicks is not based on a classic novel? Was it A, The Warriors, B, Emma, C, Carrie, or D, Apocalypse Now? I shall repeat. Oh, Johnny says, I had never seen any of these movies. Oh, that's okay. Oh, Johnny says, thanks, Thrash. And Teb is right, his friend. Excellent. I shall repeat. Which of these classic flicks is not based on a classic novel? A, The Warriors, B, Emma, C, Carrie, or D, Apocalypse Now? John Doe says, Gary, the Crystal Skull, you mean? And Apocalypse Now? Really? It's based on Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, along with an actual case of an American colonel, Colonel Krauss, who had basket case. But no, it It's not. John Doe says The Warriors. That's actually based on two. One is an actual play, Homer's The Odyssey, but counted as a work of classic. It's also based on the Anabasis. That's actually based on two classics, both of which I have read. And he says, "Calm down, now, Bob. It was a joke." Oh, I thought you were just swinging wild, or you knew more about the case of Colonel Kraus than I thought. I will calm. It seemed odd that I would catch you on that one. Forgive me for not catching your hint of sarcasm. John H says, "Apology now is based on Heart of Darkness." Yeah, apparently, I'm sorry. Indy was joking, but Emily says, "Wait, what was a what?" Zubik says, "Now I know that The Walking Dead is a rom-com." I said most, not although that did make it because there's a reference to the love affair between Rick Grimes and Michonne. Oh, and while I'm waiting for people to put in their answers, I know a lot of you aren't fans of zombie lore, but as you guys know, in the original Night of the Living Dead, the scientist who gives us our first on-screen depiction of a zombie survival guide is named Dr. Grimes. Does anyone else in the universe believe that that was a nod when they did Richard Grimes in Walking Dead? It was a nod to that. Garrett Gerber says, "John H, don't feel too bad. I've never seen all the sci-fi movies." Danny says, "Can't wait to see Sarah on Unapologetic Geek. Going to be hilarious. You know, she don't watch horror movies, right?" John H says, "I saw a tiny bit of Killer Shrews when it was on Me TV last night." Oh, I love Killer Shrews. I was just talking about that film. Tug says, "It was based on two, then it's not based on a classic work. Therefore, I'm still right." Why are you people doing this to me? The correct answer is Carrie. But you know what? Everybody give yourself the correct point. Everyone. Lubbock says, "You failed to provide the answer to question two." Oh, I did not. The correct answer to question, I will give it again, though. Yeah, I said his old friend Gareth. And then Teb reiterated it, and I agreed with him that he was right when he said the old friend. But yes, it's his old friend Gareth. And I can't get comfortable in this chair. When did I become an old man? Brian says, "Nice to see you all, Danny, Superplex, Gary, and everyone else. Great to see you too, Brian." Harold says, "I think it is plausible. Thank you, thank you." Johnny says, "Which of the Living Dead movies had the throwing pies at the dead?" That is the original Dawn of the Dead. That takes place the Tom Sorvini biker gang in the shopping mall. And this about says Carrie is King, Emma was Austin, App now was Conrad. Yeah, but you can't count Carrie as a classic. That was a contemporary novel. But you know what? I've already yielded. Everybody give yourself that point. Emily Miller says, "Figures I'm known as everyone else." Okay, anybody want to give scores if anyone still cares? Yes, Zubik says Carrie is not based on a classic book. And Tug at 7 of 9. Excellent. John Doe says they recently made a sequel to Killer Shrews. Oh, I wish I'd seen that. Johnny says, "So I got 1 out of 10." Oh no, you got two because everyone's getting the number one correct. Emily says, "So the answer was A." No, C. C. Yes, Carrie is C. Tab is 4 of 10. Keithy says, "In the neighborhood of 0." Well, you got one because I've been giving everybody number one. And he says, "What exactly is the cutoff date that determines classic?" Um, if you read it in high school or could have been assigned it in high school, I would count that as a classic. You know what Samuel Clemens called a classic, right? He says a classic is something that everyone thinks should be read, but no one wants to read. And Harold says, "Do you see what I have to deal with the majority of my life?" I certainly do. Azublix is 4 of 9. And says, "Carrie is a classic. I said what I said." Oh, Forbes Contenders here says, "Well, heck. Hi, Thrash and all. Great to see you just in time for us to wrap up." JR says, "I paid more attention to Amy Irving and Carrie. Can't blame you. Can't blame you. Uh, Tug says, your subjective definition of classic really does a lot of legwork. Uh, Thank you. Gary Cameron, 6 of 10. Wajimine says, I don't know what my score was. LOL. I lost track. No worries. John Doe says, Night of the Living Dead was not that bad. I like it. It's one of my favorite horror movies. Nick is 6 of 10. Uh, Brian says, have a good night. Brian, so great to see you. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night as well. We're not quite wrapping up just yet, but thank you. And Indy Spout says, I'm pretty sure I scored something out of something. Well, I will certainly grant you that. Emily says, I'm with you, Edge. Tug says, wait, I got 7 of 9. Holy crap, talk about winning the lottery. And Gary Carpenter is 6 of 10. And he says, I read Carrie before high school. Try again. You read Carrie. Well, was it assigned to you by a teacher in the literature department? Zubik says, lots of high schoolers read Carrie. Yeah, but was it assigned to you by the literary department? In fact, I believe Stephen King is banned in most states in this country, which I'm not in favor of. I'm not in favor of banning books. But Emily says, "Sweet dreams, Brian." Gary Cameron says, "Atlantis, the lost continent with the chief from Get Smart." Oh yeah, I saw that with my dad when I was like little idiot, little bits, little bits. Ken Wilkins says, "Good night, Emily. See you tomorrow night for Dave's live stream. Take care, man." Indy says, "Edward Platt. Isn't that a delta in South America?" And Harold says, "My wife repeatedly watched the movie Friday in high school. Does that make Friday a classic?" LOL. Gary Carpenter says, "Message retracted. Message retracted to you too." And Emily Noah says, "If I remember Kenneth." Like Christopher says, "Good night to me. Good night to you as well, young man." And Gary Carpenter says, "To Z, I don't care for Carrie. Carrie is so very." Zubik says, "I haven't seen the movie either, Gary." Oh, really? John H says, even though I hate horror films, I've seen 2 Sissy Spacek movies at the theaters: Coal Miner's Daughters and Blast from the Past. I haven't seen Blast from the Past, 'cause I don't think I have, but I have seen Coal Miner Daughters. And John Doe said, I said Night of the Living Dead was not bad. Night of the Living Dead is a classic. Oh no, I thought I said, did I flub what I was saying when I was reading it? Um, oh, Night of the Living Bread. Oh, I see, Night of the Living Bread. I have that on something. Night of the Living Bread. It's a spoof. I have that on one of my renditions of Night of the Living Dead. And Zublik said, I did enjoy Kubrick's version of The Shining. I know you don't, but to own their each. Emily says Carrie was sad in my opinion. She didn't deserve what was done to her. No, she absolutely did not. And the fact that that's actually based on 2, not 1, 2 girls Stephen King knew in high school makes it all the more tragic. Tug says, I consider it 1, Scott. Indy says, people have been known to read books simply for the joy of it instead of needing it to be assigned those nerds. Granted, I remember I read Lord of the Flies. It was my favorite book at one point. I read Lord of the Flies when I was in middle school, and I was not assigned to it. I just asked. I did borrow it from a teacher of mine. Took me forever to read it. Reading level was way past my reading level ability at the time. And Harold says, I don't want to hear that we read Carrie in high school. Most of us were in high school when it came out. LOL. 78, I want to say. I think I was in elementary school. Emily says, I resemble that remark, Indy. And Tug says, the essence of true horror is bad things happen to good people and vice versa. Jerry says, Bob, can you next trivia about all of Sam's girlfriends in Cheers? Um, I could, but I sincerely doubt people could get through it. So I'll have to go something a little wider of breath. And Emily says, I guess Tug, but still. Zubin says, no. In high school, I doubt there were many teachers of the 70s who recommended that book. And JRA says there's probably a couple of dozen, and at least there are. And it also says, sorry, never mind. Had my decade mistaken with Carrie. LOL. My fault and my bad. No worries, no worries. I kind of knew we were going, and I'm sure some of us were actually in high school when it came out. And Gary Carter says to John H, she was great as Loretta Lynn. She was. And Danny says, the Not Living Dead. There is a Joe at the White House joke in there somewhere. I'm sure there is. And Tim says, guess this 70s song lyrics. Friday night and the lights are low. Looking for a place to go. ABBA, Dancing Queen, which apparently JR already got. Gary says, Harold, you should be called the Mad Hater. And he says, Dancing Queen. I mean, how about those? How about those Bears? Yeah, how about those Bears? The Bears, the Bears. Oh, of course. How many Super Bowls have they won? How many Super Bowls have the Patriots won? Revenge. Gary Cameron says, Harold, you should. Oh, I reread that one. Zublik says, by that definition, to kill a mockingbird would not qualify as a classic. Ooh, you got me there. You got me there. Okay. I cheerfully concede my point. Gary says, Harold, I already read that one again. Why are you reading that? I'm sorry. John Doe says, Danny, you don't forget his sidekick, the Crypt Keeper. And Johnny says, Sissy Spacek and Beverly D'Angelo did all their own singing. I did not know that. I didn't know that. And Gary Carter says, ABBA. Emily Miller says, we have had a Carol Burnett show trivia. No, we haven't. That would be fun. That would be awesome. I might just do that. And Denny says, and Elizabeth says, not yet. And Denny says the Crypt Keeper original puppet has been stolen oh no, in California. Oh no, that's awful. You know, the guy who did the voice was the guy who played Shemp in the made for TV behind the scenes movie about the Three Stooges. John Doe says classic should be a long time ago, maybe in a galaxy far, far away. I love it. Johnny says, well, I was living in Nashville area the time of Coal Miner's Daughter, and it was very popular there. The bedroom scene were filmed in Lynn's actual bed. I did not know that. And Keith says, I learned today on a prior chat that humans are the problem and not the monsters. Oh, yes, yes. We discussed that at great length. I'm glad you were paying attention, Keith. Thank you. And Tim says, guess the 80s song lyric, I made it through the wilderness, somehow made it through. Madonna like a virgin. Gary Carpenter says, Harold, you should be called the man. I keep I think you're reposting it. Okay, that's why I'm like I'm going senile. And I like beats. I like beats. And Emily Miller says, I like beats. Emily Miller says, oh, John, better the Crypt Keeper than the Orange Jeebus. Yes, indeed. Better than the Orange Jeebus. And Denny's giving us a link. Thank you. So, it's to that story. John Doe says, Denny, not surprised. And he says, the Bears have won 9 NFL championships, but I'm sure the Pats are trying, Bob. And let me guess, you're from the Chicago area. And Jerry says Beverly D'Angelo still had a singing scene in Vegas Vacation. That's right. I completely forgot that. That's right. She also didn't she what she sang Good Morning Sunshine in Hair, which is possibly my least favorite song in Hair, even though they played it on Sesame Street all the time. I think my favorite song from Hair is Hair or Manchester, England, England. John H says, Me TV is finally showing the pre 1972 Carol Burnett episodes. Really? Really? That's funny. That's funny. You know, my buddies and I, we used to, when we got home from school, we used to like watch it on syndicated TV on that little black and white TV set I had when I was a kid. John Doe says, ouch, hurt feelings, LOL. And Denny says, hey, have you seen the trailer for 12 to Midnight 2024? New Charles Bronson clone versus werewolves. I have not, but it sounds interesting. And Zubik says, yes, Indy, but the Patriots didn't exist before the 1960s. Ah, good point. And Nick says, yes, John. It's pronounced John Kaiser, isn't it? But yeah, John Kaiser was the Crypt Keeper. Yes, he was. And Emily says, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize his supporters had feelings." Ooh. And Yuri Harper says, "JRA, she was Patsy Cline." And Harold says to Gary, the moniker is a play on it. Ah. And Tug says, "What an insult to Jeebus everywhere." And Gary Cameron says to John H., "I have plenty of her on YouTube." And Emily says, "Tug, how many freaking Jeebuses are out there?" And Ateb says, "Guess the 1980s song lyric. Oh, yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone." John Cougar. It's actually John Mellencamp, but at the time he was John Cougar. And that was Jack and Diane, which I believe was not his first hit. His first hit, I want to say, was "All Right, Hold Tight." There's actually a version of that song on YouTube where the band actually does a. They weren't playing their instruments; they had studio musicians doing that, so they're just going to do background dancing. And if you listen closely, John Mellencamp actually flubs one of the lines of the song. It's wicked, wicked funny. He repeats one and misses another. But yeah, Jack and Diane. Everybody got that one. Little Did It by Jack and Diane. There was when it was this was still funny. Son of Svengoolie did a joke about that, about how little ditty about Chuck and Diane, and it was about the royal wedding. Shows how far back we're going. And Zublik says, "Sorry, Terrell, but I only pay attention to the melody." And he says to Zublik's, "True, but the Bears never were there. AV guys wander out of the building. Never, they never let their AV guys wander out of the building." And he says, "I don't even want to talk about football. I'm a Panthers fan. I had a Panthers jacket, actually. My family was from North Carolina." And he says, "I Need a Lover" was Cougar's first hit. That was his first hit? Gotcha, thank you. And Diddy says, "I sent 12 to midnight trailer to your phone, LOL." Thank you. Thank you. I don't always get back to you about the stuff you send me on my phone, but I do always watch it. Thank you. Thank you. And Jerry says, "The Bears Super Bowl shuffle is terribly cringeworthy by today's standards." It was terribly cringeworthy back then, too, but they won, so you had to give it to them. And Teb says, "Guess the 1970s song lyric. Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk." Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. And John Doe says, "Thresh, did you get the Me TV thing?" I did. Thank you. And Gary Cameron says, "No football tonight, EM." I still don't have the channel, but I got the documentary you sent me. Thank you. And Dibblick says, "Cheaters always cheat. Remember the deflated football issues." Oh no, 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 no. And Texas staying alive. And Jerry says it was pretty darn cringy then too. Thank you, Indy. Appreciate it. Great minds think alike. Don't know what my excuse is. And Gary Carpenter says, "Staying alive." And I finally found the movie on YouTube. Oh, good, good, good. And Emily says, "Oh, I still wear my Panthers merch. Once a fan, always a fan." They've only been around for what are they for about 30 years, which is a lot more of your life than mine. But and Gary says, "Yeah, but the really rotten on Laugh Olympics always cheated." Yes, the really rottens did always cheat. And Harold says, "I used to have the Refrigerator Perry GI Joe action figure. That is awesome. Oh my god, that is absolutely awesome." And Emily says, "A lot of fun stuff is pretty cringy, but still fun." Excellent. It sure is. Oh, I didn't know he was in a wheelchair. That's awful. Thank you, Gary. And Doug says, "Somebody needs to clip Thrash reading the opening line to Staying Alive. It was highly entertaining." Who it was? Oh, the comedian. Steve Allen. He used to do spoken word renditions of modern song. Like, "Everybody, get on the floor. Let's dance. Shake, 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 shake your booty. And Jerry says Refrigerator Perry wore a weird thong thing in WrestleMania 2. I did not know that. John Doe says that was a weird time. The Bears shuffle and Let's Go, Mets Go was a noggin scratcher. Like, why? Oh, retro serials. Oh my God. Ian, Mr. Ian C., how are you doing, my brother? Good to see you. Says hi, everyone. Good to see you. Unfortunately, we're about to wrap up, but I can't believe that you're here. Great to see you. And a lot of people saying hello to him as well. So good to see you, my brother. Emily says, I want to say the Panthers franchise started in 92. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I thought it was around 30 years ago. And he says 95. Yeah, but I knew it was somewhere like uh 30 years ago. Thank you. And thank you for the link, Danny. And yeah, a lot of people saying hello to Ian C. So good to see you, man. Great to see you. And Keith, he says, I was at the 15-cent beer riot at Schaefer Stadium, which stopped the game in the third quarter. There's like from the primal swamps of my memory, I remember something from that. And Teb says, guess the 1980s song lyric dream if you can of a courtyard, an ocean of violets in bloom, animals strike curious poses. They feel the heat between me and you. How could you just leave me standing here? Alone in a world so cold, so cold. When Doves Cry, Prince from the Purple Rain soundtrack. Yeah, Gary says, okay, 95. And Jerry says they played in Clemson for a bit, but it was horrible. Harold says, bye all, gotta head out. No worries, I do too. I'm gonna kind of wrap it things up here. Johnny says, Houston, Texas are the most recent NFL team starting in 2002. And John Doe says, sad what happened to William the Refrigerator Pair recently. Seen where are they now about him? Oh, that very sad. And Indy says, thanks for the trivia and your expression of love for evil sports franchises. Indy, you are quite welcome. You are quite welcome. Next week's trivia will be a little more mainstream, I promise. But anyway, I think we're going to kind of wrap things up here. By the way, people are dropping like flies. And for some reason, like I said, the rain's starting now. And I don't know, my luck, there'll be a electrical storm, and I just as soon not have my technology on if and when that starts. So, oh my God, Lisa Fields. I have to say hi to Lisa Fields. Lisa Fields is here. Says hi, Thrash. Hi, everyone. I'll have to rewatch this. Please, please do. Sorry, you got on just as we were wrapping things up, but it's always wonderful to see you, Lisa. I'm not Lisa. Lisa is. But anyway, guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming by tonight. I have so much fun doing these. I even have fun when the trivia doesn't do well. And you know what? Some of you guys even seem to have fun doing the trivia when it's not well. It's like you swing wild, or we just play for fun. Playing for fun is, I think, is Dave's expression. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I will probably have new content somewhere on my channel this week, and I'm definitely doing another broadcast next Sunday, same time, 7:30. Oh, and also, please, if you haven't already, please check out Todd's broadcast today on our part 2 of Creature Features. And not next week, but the following week is going to be part 3. We may have been doing this indefinitely. And I will be on time. I don't know why I had it stuck in my head we were at 1:30 for some reason today. But I will be there promptly on time next week. And thank you guys all for your understanding there, particularly Tug, whose show it is. But anyway, until we meet again, everybody, be good, be safe, be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.